Debate 411 is proudly brought to you by Mount Kenya University School of Journalism. Success in journalism starts here. Enroll for Master of Arts in Communication and Mass Media, Bachelor of Arts in Mass Media and Communication, Diploma in Journalism. Take advantage of fees reduction and modularized programs in line with Rwanda National Qualification Framework. Call 0787 05 2363 or 0788 979113 or 0728 551199 or visit our website www.mku.ac.ke.
And welcome to Debate 411. Thank you so much for making time and being a part of this particular program. My name, as always, is Eugene Anangwe. Today on the program, we're talking about an issue that has been trending on Twitter, and that is education debate. And of course, our hashtag tonight is Education Debate RW. You can tweet and hashtag debate 411. We've been talking about this issue, but it's important for us to put our heads together and try to find out what are the possible solutions to the challenges that are facing the education sector in Rwanda. Indeed, is there a crisis, or we're just blowing issues out of proportion? Those are some of the things that we'll be delving deeper into in the program. But first, let's get to meet our guests in a short while. Thank you so much once again for joining us on Debate 411. You can tweet us and be a part of this particular conversation at Debate 411 or at Eugene Anangwe. Let's have a serious and candid conversation about this issue. Let's first of all meet our panelists on the program today. We have Alan Bryan, a great friend of the show and also a former teacher and also a social media enthusiast. Thank you for joining us on Debate 411, Alan. All right, and also with us is none other than Rama Isibo. Rama is a blogger and a commentator on various issues happening in the society. Thank you, Rama, for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, and of course, if we happen to get sick along the show, we have a pharmaceutical student right here who will do his practicals with us right here. Thank you so much, Israel, for joining us on the program.
It's a pleasure.
All right, so missing in action is none other than Mr. Damien Naganzwa, who pulled out of the show last minute, citing health issues. He just told me that I woke up this morning feeling unwell, and so I will not be able to come on the program. And of course, his role at Rwanda Education Board is in charge of teacher development and management. But since we have a former teacher, Alan will be able to talk to us about this. And of course, he's your great friend for that particular matter. So we've talked about this thing throughout this week. For 2 days, 3 days running on social media, people talking about the education system in the country. And it's important for us to start with Alan. Do you really feel that indeed there's a crisis, or we are blowing things out of proportion?
I think the word crisis kind of insinuates a panic situation. There are some issues, there are some problems, and it is good that the conversation about these problems has been kicked off. It would be good if what happened on Twitter was being followed by the relevant authorities and everyone who is concerned about education, because it affects everything. Yes.
So you feel not a crisis per se, but there is a problem.
Yes,
Rama, your thoughts?
It's not a crisis now, but if you look at any education system, a crisis will manifest 18 to 20 years later when those people eventually join the job market or take over the economy and such. But yeah, it would not be correct to call it fully a crisis, but that doesn't mean everything is perfect. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to make things better, because there are so many problems which have arisen over the last 5 or so years where we have not been entirely honest with ourselves, and we have made a lot of reforms that go against each other every time. We are ripping it up and starting again.
What do you mean by a lot of reforms that go against each other? Could you substantiate that statement?
For example, we had separate universities which were developing their own standards, their own identities, their own courses and everything. And then suddenly we forced all the government universities to merge into one, which is called the University of Rwanda, or Rwanda National University.
And you feel that is part of the problem?
Yeah, that especially in upper, I would say there's 3 levels to this. In primary education, there has been a lot of progress. More children are in primary than ever before. It's almost more or less free. I don't know the exact situation about it. But we still have problems in primary, for example, stunting. Stunting is a very big problem. They say that up to 40% of Rwandans are stunted. Mm-hmm. So that means they cannot understand what they're being taught in class. That means they cannot think, they cannot absorb the information correctly. Mm-hmm. So that is a big problem in primary education. In secondary education, it's also a problem of, not enough spaces and not enough, a problem of capacity, a problem of, and that's something I want to talk about later.
We'll develop that.
In how we can get people who think laterally, who can think out of the box, mm-hmm. who can be visionary, mm-hmm. as opposed to quiet sheep who follow everything they're told.
Quiet sheep who follow everything that is said. This is his statement, that he feels the merger of universities to form, the University of Rwanda. He feels this is part of the problem. For you, Israel, as a student of, a pharmaceutical student, where exactly is this shoe pinching from? What's the real problem affecting the education sector?
I think it's on the attitude of our lecturers or people who are supposed to train us. Mm-hmm. From what I've seen since I've been in university, that's where we have the real issue. They are not able to mentor us appropriately. They are not able to guide us as students as much as they should. For example, on Twitter, I said it. If I never seen my lecturer taking a book and reading, why would I use my library card? If I've never seen a lecturer publish other than his master's and PhD, why would I go and try to write something? So I think we have a problem with our coaches and our mentors and people who are supposed to be guiding us and those we should be looking up to.
So the teachers are mostly just coming to class, finish the session, and they're out?
Yes.
This is a former teacher here, Alan. Is this what you guys used to do before you left? Before you could?
No.
Is it a fair accusation of the teachers that indeed this is what's happening? They're not mentoring, they're not going beyond the normal class sessions,
Well, there are some issues you have to look at. First of all, when you have very big classes, it becomes impossible for teachers to follow up on individual cases and make time to do other academic-related endeavors. But for me, the bigger issue is how the whole system is set up. If you are paying teachers, little money, then being a teacher is not attractive. So the people who will end up being teachers are usually those who had no other option. And even those who end up being teachers are usually there for the time being. So instead of following up on what Israel is doing, they're looking for, a business
extra
plan.
source of income.
They're looking for applying for jobs in NGOs. So their mind is not on what they're supposed to be doing. Their mind is on how do I escape this situation. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you agree with this particular kind of reasoning, that indeed this is what the problem is? I mean, teacher motivation that is making them to think of other things to top up onto what they're getting.
I mean, we have to go back to the Rwanda education system, how it was founded, how it was started, and how it differs from other countries in the region. Like in Rwanda, we were colonized by 2 countries, Germany, then Belgium. Mm-hmm. Neither of them have a state religion. None of them have a state education system. So therefore, this education system was left entirely to the Catholic Church as a provider of services, both in health and education and local administration problems. So what you have in that situation is, when you have the British system, like in Uganda and Kenya, where the British government set up government schools, and they set up very good schools all over Kenya, which are still there today all over Uganda. These schools keep the country going regardless of who is in power and the problems within the country. You know that every year the brightest minds are being churned out. But then in Rwanda, we never had that. It was strictly for the Catholic Church. And the Catholic Church doesn't necessarily want to breed people who are too questioning. It doesn't want to focus on sciences. It doesn't want to focus on various other things like that, on academic stuff. So Rwanda, we had almost a filtering system where it was just to pick up the sharpest minds, the best minds, and then co-opt them into the government system, and the rest were surplus. So it's like you said, I mean, the example is just given. It's like a teacher doesn't see himself as a mentor, see himself as a filter to separate the smart guys from the dumb guys. Get rid of the dumb guys
and concentrate on the smart ones.
And get in more smart guys who can look after themselves, who don't need my personal, who don't need that.
Israel, do you think that's an excuse enough, that the pay is little, that is making me not be able to have extra time to still sit with you and coach you? Is that a valid, does it hold any water?
Well, it can be valid, but that brings us now to passion. So we have teachers who are not passionate about academics, people who are not passionate about teaching. So then that excuse would be valid, and they would be looking for other endeavors instead of teaching us and instead of giving us, so they're just there for the time being. And most of them usually combine it with teaching at 3-4 institutions at the same time, so they have tons of things to work on, and instead no time for professional development and mentoring or coaching students appropriately as it should be.
But how do you have a teacher who's not who has no passion for being a teacher? What are they doing there? I mean,
if you look
how do you have such a person?
If you look at our cabinet,
yes,
almost all of them are PhDs. And sometimes I think these people would do much better if they were in a university each of them producing 10 more PhDs a year, than just sitting in government, in flash cars, in nice life, in comfortable life. That goes back to our society and why people do things. I know people who just did medicine just to get the name doctor on it. As soon as they get the doctor title, they don't have to practice medicine. They get doors open to them in every government, and every company even can hire you just on an MD certificate. So we really need to push the passion of learning. Like a PhD means Doctor of Philosophy. Philosophy means love of learning. If you don't have that love of learning every day, to wake up and find out new things and to teach them to other people, I think you're wasting knowledge, and you're wasting all the government money that they use to.
But in the end, where do people like Israel and other students come in terms of their role? Because when you say that the teacher is not passionate, so are you still that kind of a student who's always waiting to be told, okay, come now, let me coach you? What then is your role in saying, let me take that extra step to go to this teacher then for mentorship, or to look for it elsewhere?
Oh, well, that's something that I can do, but it's not something that everyone in my class, 63 of us, can think of, If I have been fortunate enough to have access to Twitter or access to information or travel abroad and discover that you need someone to guide you, you actually have a lot of things to discover, you have more things to explore in your career. It's not everyone in my class who's able to do that or has been fortunate enough like me to get to access such knowledge. So I think even if you want a student to also approach the teacher and request that coaching or that mentorship, it's also something that has to come from the person who is coaching me or who is leading me, and they're the one who ignite that passion or that need for me to keep learning or keep doing stuff instead of...
So that the teachers are the ones who should ignite this fire, this passion for the students to want to learn more, really?
Yes, definitely, because that is their role. They are supposed to facilitate the learning process.
But they need to also have the ground for that. You know, if the students have to also be interested, the students have to also show that they are passionate about this.
Yes, they must.
So if we continue with this same attitude, do you think we'll have to meet in the middle, really?
You see, what I've noticed from what he's saying is that him as a student, he is passionate. The teachers are not passionate. So maybe the other question we should be asking ourselves is, has the system produced passionate learners like him? Are there other university students who really want to learn? And the problem is just the lecturers, or it is on both sides?
In your own opinion, when you were teaching, where did you see the main problem being at? Was it the issue of the teachers not being passionate, or was it the students also not, creating a fertile ground for the teacher to come and plant the seed of passion for learning?
Personally, from my experience where I was teaching, the first problem I noticed was the students were quite weak, and it is not something you can blame on the students entirely. Their strength is supposed to come from the lower education system. If you look at the way the education structure is set out, the most important ages are when you're in lower primary and kindergarten. So if you're teaching students at secondary school and they cannot express themselves, they are not confident, then you have a problem that you yourself did not create. It came from wherever they are coming from. So if it is to be fixed, it has to be fixed from still at the lower level. It is a bit late for someone who is at secondary level or university to be fine-tuned into, learning, someone who enjoys learning.
So the problem starts from the ground, from the beginning, from the grassroots, when they start learning. Yes. I mean, Israel, for you, in your own thoughts, looking at that particular argument, does this explain what some critics of those who graduate from schools say, that, we are churning out weak graduates, people who are unemployable? Is this one of those reasons why we're having this, that they had a weak background? They were not trained well, and that is why it is difficult for them to even come out as fresh, good graduates?
Definitely. On that point, I would like to share a bit of the story that I shared on my Twitter timeline recently. Our university is supposed to be research-driven and is supposed to be focused on research. But we learned research in fourth year. I learned research last year, So until I reached third year, I had no idea what research is about. We just
and yet
see...
you're supposed to research from the first year.
Yeah, and I attended the conference, and I was supposed to do a presentation, a scientific presentation. So I talked about ICT and how it's implemented in the health sector in Rwanda. And in the conference, a colleague of mine who is on the same level but from another country presented on nanomedicine. It's an advanced technology for making medicines for kids. So I realized, there is this thing called research. Then I went on internet and I filtered on our different, where we search about papers, and I filtered, tried to see how many students have actually published. And I found out that that's what they do, actually. Every student has to publish at least once a year. So I started looking more into that myself. And to tell you the truth, people in my class, people I study with, it's not everyone who had this access to this information. They don't know what's this or how this. I tried along the course to try to publish something, to do simple studies, try to come up with something that I will publish anywhere or on those open science websites or wherever I can publish something. But it was too hard for me because I didn't know how to do that. And then I reached 4th year. That's when I learned research. Learning research, I'm out of class. I'm now doing internship full-time, really caught up. I can't do anything. I'm now working on my final year project. And to tell you something else is, in my class, I'm sure, or my generation at the university, people who are graduating with me, we are not more than 10% who can be able to cite an article. And frankly speaking, myself, I'm not sure if I'm so good at it. You see? So coming back to your question, it's something which should have been started from very low. What do we want to achieve as an education system, and how do we build that from kindergarten up to university?
So that you grow having this. I mean, where did we go wrong then? As education institutions, for example, I'll put you in the shoes of those who are leaders, those who are policymakers, those who are deciding.
Yeah, because the policymakers, they think on the big level. They were thinking big about synergies, streamlining, maximizing resources. So, on those things, but not necessarily on the practical teaching level. Like, like, for example, it's so different from the systems which I grew up with, where in primary we're doing plays, where you memorize the whole Shakespeare in primary, and you're like 9, 10 years old. And what is that teaching you? It's teaching you, we used to do debates in primary. We used to do dance and drama and arts and so many. We got a full 3-dimensional education, as opposed to, I don't know what they were trying to achieve here. Because what the problem was, our education system was the backbone of the genocidal system of before. That is where children were categorized by tribe. If you were Tutsi, you were not likely ever going to pass or even ever get a job. And in class, they told all the Tutsis to stand up, and they would say, look at this one, this is the evil person who destroyed your grandfather, and you have to hate him with all your life.
And so in this sense,
our main problem at the time was to stop it being genocidal. When you have such a dangerous system which has helped kill 1 million people, it's like almost educational thoughts come secondary or third.
Back to the policymakers. You feel they should stop thinking so big and go to the practical?
They need to go to the practical side of things, definitely, because what they often do, they come up with the big plan.
Yes.
The people on lower levels, they tell you, don't worry, boss, this will work, don't worry about it. And they haven't worked out the finer details. They say, oh, those things, we're going to figure them out later. But those finer details are the most important.
All right.
That is where you're actually going to get the final results from.
Okay.
Not from the big thing.
Super. Thank you so much. We're still having this conversation going on right here, and of course also out there on social media platforms. I have lots and lots of tweets coming through. We have Butera who says that for me the issue lies in the structure from kindergarten, not well designed. This is where he feels actually the problem lies. Of course, Shema Ganza on Twitter also says, talking about the salary wars, passion isn't enough itself. Why don't we look at how to bring in cost-effective incentives so that, this motivates the teachers? Rika Rigamba says that, Brian is right. The base is where the issue is. Primary school should be strengthened. We seem to have forgotten the primary schools. We have Shem Saganza coming in again and says those PhDs in cabinet are also needed where they are. Besides, the numbers show that more PhDs are in the academic sector. Rosine says the government should facilitate teachers to get a discounted interest rate in banks, for example, 5 to 8%, and this probably would motivate them to, probably take loans and build their lives and therefore be able to teach more. Keep tweeting. All you need to do is just use the hashtag EducationDebateRW, or you can use the hashtag Debate411 and tweet me directly at Eugene Anangwe, or tweet at Debate411. We are back in a very short while. Stay with us.
Good news from the largest private university in the East Africa region, Mount Kenya University. We have reduced fees for undergraduates who want to pursue courses in business, travel and tourism, information sciences or IT, and social science related programs. We are also giving our alumni and bachelor students wishing to pursue master's programs a 10% fees discount. Our programs are modularized in line with Rwanda National Qualifications Framework. Mount Kenya University. My university, my pride, my future, my affordable education.
Welcome to Nakumatt Supermarket. Where quality, value, service, variety, and lifestyle matters. Enjoy our 24 hours shopping experience. Nakumatt. You need it? We've got it. For inquiries, contact our customer care service desk.
Debate 411 is proudly brought to you by Mount Kenya University School of Journalism. Success in journalism starts here. Enroll for Master of Arts in Communication and Mass Media, Bachelor of Arts in Mass Media and Communication, Diploma in Journalism. Take advantage of fees reduction and modularized programs in line with Rwanda National Qualification Framework. Call 0787 05 2363 or 0788 979113 or 0728 551199 or visit our website www.mku.ac.ke. Debate 411 is proudly brought to you by Mount Kenya University School of Journalism. Success in journalism starts here. Enroll for Master of Arts in Communication and Mass Media, Bachelor of Arts in Mass Media and Communication, Diploma in Journalism. Take advantage of fees reduction and modularized programs in line with Rwanda National Qualification Framework. Call 0787 05 2363 or 0788 979113 or 0728 551199 or visit our website www.mku.ac.ke.
So Natasha, are we cornering our teachers? Exactly. Are we being unfair to them?
At the end of the day, Fiona also mentions that the more you show them this condom, the more you're opening up their minds to having sex. But do you feel well represented? Do you think the media issues are well taken to the table when it comes to advocacy? How do we convince them and say that we shut it down because you exceeded the limits? The word conservation looks just complicated, but how do we simplify this?
What role do our schools play then? And the people around our children, what role can they play in order to avoid these children becoming a menace in the society?
Yes. Caroline, you just want to sound moral, but you're just not accepting the reality on the ground.
Well, I want to sound moral and encourage it and practice it.
This is an EA production.
Thank you so much for still being with us. This is Debate 4 on 1, and we're here live every Monday and Wednesday, 9 p.m. Mark it somewhere and definitely be part of the conversations that we have here on the program. All you need to do is tweet us at Debate 4 on 1 or tweet me directly at Eugene Anangwe. Today specifically, the hashtag is Education Debate RW. Share your thoughts, pour them out. Let us know what you think about the education sector. And of course, you can as well share in your thoughts on how to improve the loose ends and tighten the loose ends, of course. And of course, here in the program, we are having none other than Rama Isibo, who is a blogger and a commentator. We have Israel, a pharmaceutical student, and of course, Brian Allen, who is a former teacher and a freelance journalist. One of the Rwanda Education Board officials pulled a Museveni on us, if you believe or think or feel what I'm saying in terms of the presidential debate in Uganda. He pulled out, but he cited health issues, and we really would have also wished to have them represented here on the program. Nonetheless, the show has to continue. Before we went for the break, we were all looking at the issue of passion, which most people are saying here on Twitter, that how can you be passionate when the pay itself is minimum? Is this a signal that probably where the problem is in the motivation of the teachers who are actually imparting these skills on the students? Is this where the problem is? Could this be an indicator that that's where the problem is?
It is an indicator, but it's not the only one. I don't want us to focus just on the money, because at the end of the day, people will think maybe teachers want to be paid like lawyers. But you have to look at the selection process. If you have made the life of a teacher, miserable. No one aspires to be a teacher. So you're going to end up getting the people who don't want to be teachers. They're just doing it because it's some kind of last resort. So the real passionate teachers you will not get them from the system. You will only get those who maybe scored low grades and they could not afford to go to private universities and study the courses they want to study. So you have the teachers, you may pay them more, but they're not passionate. It's not what they wanted to do. Yeah. So at some point we have to tweak the way we admit people into these teacher training colleges so that we get people who like to teach and people who can teach. Yeah? Because if you're just getting students who have scored low marks and you expect them to teach your kids, then
there's a problem there.
It doesn't work out.
Last question on this teacher issue and the passion issue. I mean, is this a situation, have we left that career, that profession, to be looked at in that particular way, that this is one that is a last resort? I mean...
No, but we can change this by, you don't even have to necessarily immediately start paying them, but you say, if you've been a teacher for 10 years, that will qualify you for a home loan that is very affordable. That could make people stay in the profession. You could also maybe allow teachers to earn money coaching or teaching on the side in their spare time. So, but then going back to the selection process, and it's also our education system has got to be designed for teachers to be more enjoyable for teachers. At the moment, I get the impression a lot of our lecturers and teachers can be replaced by cassette players.
Cassette players?
Yeah.
Like you can just play the cassette and you won't
talk
need them.
for 1 hour and then they walk out. And that is more or less how our curriculum and syllabus is designed. If you design it where you have to have more interactive learning, and interactive does not mean on a computer, it just means talking to the person next to you, having a group discussion. In that way you develop a bond with your students, you understand their different points of view, the nuances and everything that can help you become a better teacher. But right now I think the system is too rigid that even if you are one of those eccentric cool teachers like the ones I had when we were young, who could say, today we are going out in the field, we're not even going to sit in class. And we sit in the garden all day reading, and we were just... So you have to also equip and empower teachers to be more flexible and more, just as long as the students learn, and keeping them interested and keeping them engaged. But at the moment, I think it's just like a press play
and pause and stop.
and pause and stop.
Is this a
And
clear
then
picture? I
not
mean,
having
you
the
are still
time-
in
and
class
not having
right
the
now.
time to
To be practical, I mean, you're in class right now. Is this a situation?
No, I have another school of thought.
Yes.
This is the situation for primary and secondary school. But we have a parking full of cars at our school. We have people who are fancy in their clothing. You know, so I really don't think the salary or money is an issue at the university level. That will bring me back to, okay, now think of me with what I'm graduating with, which package I'm graduating with.
Yes.
I will do my master's in 2 years, my PhD in 3 years with that level, and then I will come back and teach. You see, that's no difference. That's the real issue. That's how it happened. So if I don't improve to be better than the ones who are teaching me, then I will be just like them.
There's
So-
someone just sticking on that on Twitter who feels like, students from higher learning institutions should also up their game, because he says, there is Kagwa, who says that at least at higher learning institutions, students have to take commitment to study beyond what is provided by lecturers. And we seem to be just pushing the blame on the teachers and the lecturers when the students themselves also have a role to play. I mean, you just end it at where the lecturer told you or taught you.
Now, does that come? The lecturers, how do they ignite that fire for someone to learn beyond what the teachers teach them?
Would you sit and wait for a lecturer to ignite the fire?
Let me tell you how they do it.
Yes.
They give you practical work in class. When they give you practical work, what we basically do is we go on Google, write down the question, and then the 3 first link, you just make sure you put it in a 10 slide, and then you come, you read it for a classmate, and you go. So if they don't push me to do beyond than just doing a Google search, beyond than just doing that, for example, they say, hey, we just studied this. I want you to go in Kigali. Let's look at this problem in the community, and then go and write for me a 300 words essay on how you think the solution should come. That will push the student to not just go and copy paste, but
do the extra mile.
This is
Before you come in,
what
Rama,
RAEB does syllabus.
Yes, but before you finish that point, I want to really understand that part. The culture of Google, the Google students, the Google graduates. I mean, who is to blame for this? I mean, do you think this is the part of the teacher, or it's the laziness of the students who just want to go Google, finish, copy, paste, and go?
There is a dilemma with at the university level. When I was at university, it was called the diploma disease. We have created a culture where everyone aspires to have a university degree of some sort.
Yes.
And university education has become one of the biggest businesses. You've seen so many universities have opened up, even here in Kigali, and almost everyone who finishes secondary school wants to be in the university.
Yes.
In my radical view, I think many of them don't belong there. But because it's a business, the university welcomes them. And once it has welcomed them, it has to give them degrees to show that this is a successful university. It graduated 1,000 students. But now the challenge comes when those students go to the workplace and they cannot deliver. So that we need to correct.
So you feel the current higher learning institutions are taking in students who should not be there and graduating them, and when they graduate, they're not ready for the market. This is where the problem is.
They are pushing the problem we talked about earlier. Weak primary
just like a
schools.
conveyor belt.
Yes.
A conveyor belt which can't
the
stop.
primary schools have weak systems, so the weak students make it to secondary,
and they
make it to
to university.
Then the university pushes them to the employer.
If you are the Minister of Education, higher learning in charge of those ones, what would you do on that issue to solve the problem?
Wow, that's a tough one. But I would first of all do a review of the university courses, because at least the government has leverage to that level. It has the power to accredit universities, and it bases that on what courses are you offering and what facilities do you have. in terms of laboratories and qualified lecturers. So I would look at what are the universities offering. Many of them are just offering all the courses they can think of. I think I saw somewhere about a bachelor in NGO studies, and it was advertised in the newspaper. I'm not making it up. Yeah. But
maybe we need a study on NGOs.
Just to see how many students can we get in and how much money can we make.
So you do a thorough assessment
and then
of the courses.
Another thing, they need to go to employers. You see, like one of the reasons why university is expensive is because we are not involving companies. Like if you went to Rwanda and you said to them, we can teach courses in brewing, we can teach courses in all those.
So they need to go to the employers to find out the needs of the employers.
Give them hundreds of millions of francs, because it's cheaper for you to produce them here than for them to go to Costa Rica or somewhere else to get someone. So they need to be interactive with the employers. They need to be more interactive in their learning process within students, more discussion, more group learning, more debate. Because like you say that when you have someone who can't express themselves and yet they are in university, that's a big problem. But you won't learn that overnight. You learn it as you're growing. And as the younger kids are, the more confident they can be, especially among other children, to express themselves.
We have a tweet here that says, understandably, government should be the main player, but also parents, teachers, and students all have a role to play, which I'll ask you yourself. This is Vishumba, who is at Twitter. The handle is my250 tweets. The question here is, based on what you're saying, the university or higher learning institutions should be closer to the employers to find out their needs. But now, what about we think of the students? Because I'm coming back to Rika's tweet here, which says, yes, at university, students also need to own their learning. No spoon feeding should be done. Because in the end, why can't also students, either before they go to school to do a certain course, do their own research on, what happens at Barrow, what happens at this place, so they can go and learn.
It's not valid.
Yes.
Until it is accredited,
yes.
Until someone assigns you, until someone mentors and guides you. It's like telling a nursery kid to write a PhD. I mean, they're not going to be able to do it because, they haven't even been guided through that process.
So what do you think is your role there?
Like you said, like methodology research is very important. Normally you should learn that in the first year, the first semester of the first year, you learn methodology and research. Because the first essay you do, you'll be judged on that methodology.
Not to make you be the spokesperson of all the students, but in your own opinion, do you really feel that most students have that attitude and tendency of being spoon-fed?
Yes, exactly. They do. We do.
Are you one of them? Are you one of them?
I think. But my thought is I need guidance,
So for you wouldn't call it spoon-feeding, you call it guidance.
Guidance. Yes, I need guidance. I will not just wake up and think this thing exists, so I should explore it. I need someone to point that there is knowledge out there that you should explore.
I can come to his rescue.
Yes.
It's good that he accepts the problem, but it is not his fault. The thirst for you to want to learn things, to look for things, is something that has to be nurtured at a much earlier stage. In primary school mainly, that is where you get your brain wired.
I think we've heard about that, but then let's bring in the other key thing, because in most jobs when they're hiring, they'll always ask for a degree. And in the end, do you guys feel that probably that requirement is what is now forcing many people to want to seek these degrees? And in many cases, they don't even ask for a relevant degree for that particular job. Is this part of the problem in the education sector in terms of what we are bringing out of the universities that we're learning, since you had the microphone?
Yes, I come from a background that really doesn't value the degree that much, because for me, the biggest issue is the skill. Universities and most people see education as a way out of poverty and everything. But you cannot go out of poverty if you have no skills. So you may have your degree, postgraduate,
but no skill at all.
And no skill. So you'll be useless to the employer, and also you will not make the money you expect to make.
You'll be useless to yourself.
Yes. Yet there are people who have skills and don't have, degrees, but they are making a lot of money. I'm sure many people have been following this football. None of those guys has a degree in football, but they make a lot of money.
Is this a precondition that we have put ourselves in, and it is hurting us? I mean, in terms of what we are doing to our graduates and what we churn out as graduates, this requirement for degrees versus requirement for skills?
Okay, I think the skills also can be built, and that's now where you come back to students and what we should be doing. And the experience they even ask for. The university, or your life at the university, is a life that you can exploit in many ways. And then I will come to talk what you have been asking earlier, that students should seek to be involved beyond school. And we have a lot of these school clubs, school students associations, which do outreaches and which do many things. And those are where you can build your skills beyond what you need, and you can learn, for example, to speak on a panel like this. You can learn to public speaking or do any other things outside the class. So I think the students as well should stop looking for entertainment or living more secular life, but now engage into learning, engage into discovering. That's why we join Twitter. Most of us are there for following superstars or doing it. Someone else is there.
So our priorities are not in the right place.
Yeah. So we should try to put our priorities on learning and improving and acquiring knowledge as much as we can.
He has just engaged the gear for us to ask that question of way forward. What do we do moving forward? We have talked, we have bashed several institutions. We have said the education system is a problem. So what do we do? Where do we go from here?
You see, like school teaches you two things. On the one level, it teaches you facts. The tallest this, the longest this, the biggest that. On the other hand, it teaches you life skills. Like, it's amazing when you see children on the playground playing. They are learning, they are negotiating, you are learning how to stand up for yourself, how to be part of a team, how to negotiate with others, how to compromise, how to do so many things. Now, we need to redesign our education system, particularly our syllabus, to bring out those other skills. Like we said, those group discussions are very important in nurturing children's vision, in nurturing children's ambition and everything, because the biggest problem we suffer from in Rwanda is lack of exposure. We were a country which was hidden away from the world for centuries until maybe the last 10 or so years is when we came out of our shell. And, so we have a long way to catch up. But our education system can speed up that catching up process by the way in which they impart. And also I wanted to talk about, we do this one laptop per child, but we could have radio stations with radio programs which are teaching children in every country, in every part of the country, and have a totally integrated education system like that. Because I haven't seen much improvement in English ever since we changed to English. I haven't seen much increase in the level of English that's being used in society.
So your way forward is incorporating and other people taking part.
Don't just look at qualifications. Look at qualities.
Okay.
Because you are there to bring out the good qualities in people.
Good.
It's no good having a very intelligent person who is impractical.
No good out of that in terms of what Rama says. Your thoughts in terms of way forward. What do we do? If someone who calls the shot is watching you and wants to decide and says, today I'm getting advice from Brian, what would you tell them?
I think the government has found itself in a tricky position, and it focused a lot on quantity, having all these nice figures of so many children in primary school, so many people graduating. But now that has been achieved, more effort should now be put on the quality of the students, the quality of education, and the skills. My emphasis is on skills. I keep saying if someone is a plumber, they have to be a very good plumber. If you're a journalist, you must be a very good journalist. It doesn't matter how many degrees and certificates you have. You must be able to deliver and do it very well. So going forward, I think it is important also for the government maybe to put incentives for people who are investing in kindergarten, pre-primary schools, because that is where the foundation has to be laid. They should help people set up, nursery schools and buy books and encourage children to read.
And read themselves as well.
Definitely.
Super.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Brian. For you, your parting word as a student in this debate.
As a student, what I want from my government, I will echo an opinion that I saw on Twitter, is to know the vision of our education system. Where are we going? And on our part as a student is step out of our comfort zone. If you know that you lack something, go and seek for it. Don't wait for someone to guide you or doing something. That's what I'm doing, even if I was blaming my lecturers on not having a mentor or someone to guide me. What I did, what I do, what I encourage my fellow students to do is step out. If you want to learn to be a good public speaker, find a platform where you practice and do it. If you want to learn to be a good moderator, find the platforms out there and do it. Read, research, and try to learn by yourself. That's enough.
Don't you
Thank
think
you.
a good
Rama,
mentor would be
we would have continued with that, but I'm told we are out of time. But this is a conversation that has to continue. It's really going on.
We'll do it again, and we'll invite the gentleman.
Definitely. We hope that we'll be able to get them. Thank you so much, Rika, Willie, Rukundo, Mwene, and of course, so many of you who have been tweeting, Butera, Kagwa. So many tweets going on out there, but let's keep this conversation amongst ourselves out there as we tweet and retweet and, of course, respond to some of those comments that are being made by the people who are tweeting out there. It's a conversation that has to continue, and definitely this week we're dedicating it to the education sector in Rwanda. This Wednesday, we're looking at the issue of local universities versus international universities. Let's find out what challenges the local universities are having and what incentives probably the international universities are bringing in the country, and what are their mistakes. Of course, these are the conversations we'll be having right here Wednesday, 9 p.m. It's a debate you don't want to miss. I'll see you again next time. And as always, I'm Eugene Anangwe. Goodbye.
Debate 411 is proudly brought to you by Mount Kenya University School of Journalism. Success in journalism starts here. Enroll for Master of Arts in Communication and Mass Media, Bachelor of Arts in Mass Media and Communication, Diploma in Journalism. Take advantage of fees reduction and modularized programs in line with Rwanda National Qualification Framework. Call 0787 052363 or 0788 979113 or 0728 551199 or visit our website www.mku.ac.ke.
This is an EA production.